The stream is live. There you go. I think we're good.
I believe so. It's telling me we're live. Yeah, I think we're golden.
Is this thing on? I think we're
I
good.
hope so. I sure hope so. So, what is up, everybody? I am here, Matty SmackDown, of course, with the one and only voice of the independent wrestling scene, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Adams.
Thank you, Maddie. SmackDown. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Honored to be here, man.
Thank you. I truly appreciate that. Now I'm not just gonna blow smoke and just because you're on my show. I truly believe that you are in like when I think about all time ring announcers, I truly believe you're in like the top five of my
Oh
all
man,
time favorite ring announcers. I truly
hey
mean that.
man. That means a lot. From your words to Vince McMahon and Tony Khan's pockets, man. I appreciate it. That's a great compliment. Thank you.
So, what really got you started with ring announcing? Where did you decide you wanted to become a ring announcer at?
Oh, it was one of these things where I would just go to wrestling shows. I had some acquaintances that were in the wrestling business, and I would go hang out with them, and it seemed like a cool thing to like do. I mean, I always liked wrestling. I tried to be an athlete in high school. It didn't work out, but I always wanted to like be part of sports. There, I went on Facebook and set up an account, and bother is the word. The problem, see, the not even the problem. The thing about the wrestling business is if you're starting out, it can be very difficult. You can go to a wrestling school and you can graduate and you can get that, wrestling diploma, but getting inside that inner circle of like different locker rooms, well, it's easy to, gel with your like home fed and stuff like that. But getting out there and really getting like booked is one thing, and then you can get booked and like not accepted, but getting accepted within that circle is like kind of difficult. I set up a profile. I had no experience other than my passion, and always idolized Howard Finkel growing up, and I would watch Saturday night's main event. I'd watch Saturday morning wrestling. I'd have like the hairbrush in my hand. I have like as a little kid, my stuffed animals were like my audience, and I was just trying to be loud as heck. And I love the fact that he was dressed in a tuxedo. He had the look. He didn't have to do any competition other than the infamous tuxedo match, which is pretty cool. And my boy Rich Reed is doing a tuxedo match against Maven for ISPW this weekend. So I gotta give him props for that. But I always like I didn't want to, the athleticism I don't think was for me, but I wanted to generate that energy for the real athletes. And there was this company called Devastation Wrestling Federation that are now defunct. And also I think their sub promotion was called a Loco Wrestling. They were out of
Okay.
Pensacola, New Jersey. It was like a small town right on the Delaware River, right across the river from Philadelphia, PA. Good, a working man's town. And it was like this guy, Baba Brinsfield, aka known as Bob the Booker. That was his name. He I either got ignored or I got denied from, I mean, I'd say 25, 30 feds. You have to be willing to accept uh the downfalls of not getting booked. You have to be very willing to take criticism and failure in this business. So I mean, I tried forever, and people either said, "Now we're good," and now we don't know who you are, or just would read the message and no sell me. But this guy Bob's like, "Hey man, yeah, you can come on down. We have a ring announcer, but we have a pre-show." He goes, "It'll be like a match or two." He goes, "There's no pay, so don't even ask. But hey, if you're good, maybe we'll find something for you. Get your feet wet." So I drove to Pensacola, the 120 miles. You got to also be willing to drive. And when you're first breaking in, I mean, obviously money is a goal in this business, but when you're breaking
Oh
in, just
yeah.
remember everyone, you're going to take some losses in the beginning because you are going to want to get paid with that exposure. I mean, don't let them tell you that forever. I mean, hot dogs and handshakes are good, and I love me some free hot dogs. But but yeah, I went down there, and it was funny because I've told this story to other podcasts. When I got there, I got out of the car, I had my bag, and it was a small promotion, and you could tell it was like all locals, like they're a tight knit. It was like
Yeah.
like in the movies when you walk into a bar and the music's playing, and all of a sudden the stranger walks in and the record skips and everybody gets quiet and they just look at you. Well, that was like me, except I wasn't even in the building. That was just them looking at me, setting up. They were getting the boards to set the ring up inside, and they're like, "Can we help you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, my name is," and then I stuttered because I was nervous. I was like, my name is David. I'm here to see Bob the Booker." They're like, "Oh yeah, hold on for one moment," and they're like, "Stay here. Don't." They literally were like, "Stay here. Don't come inside." 5 minutes later, I'm waiting outside, still getting hard looks, and Bob's like, "Oh, you must be David." All right. He's like, well, I appreciate you coming here. He goes, how far did you drive? I'm like, 120 miles. He goes, well, I have good news and bad news. I'm like, all right, sweet. What's up? And he's like, well, the bad news is that our ring announcer is still not here. He hasn't called and he has no showed. So the good news is you got the gig all night long, not just the opening match, just the whole show. He goes, here's the deal, still no pay. And if you suck, we'll never use you again. And if you're good, who knows? So get in there. Good luck. He goes, cards on the wall. You got to figure out who everybody is.
Oh
That was
God.
it. That was it, man. I walked in and I mean, I wouldn't say anybody was like dicks to me, but you get those like, when nobody knows you and they're trying to figure
Yeah.
out who you are. Getting back to that, wrestling is a really tight circle of people. But I mean, I walked around, I did my thing. I shook hands. I knew enough. People told me always walk in, especially if you're new, shake hands, introduce yourself, let them know this is, your first time doing this. And then, yeah, people were generally nice to me for the most part. They gave me the information, but still distant. Um, Couple things happened to me on my debut. I got nervous just before the show started, and I had all my index cards in my hand, and I bumped into one of the wrestlers not looking, and all my index cards go flying, and I forgot the order of everything. So I scurried back and I numbered every index card and put them back in order. To this day, I've been doing this since 2011. This debut I speak of, January 15th, 2011. To this day, I number every single index card. I try not to use them in the ring, but I like to have them in my pocket. And at least if something happens and I drop my cards, I can put them back in order pretty easily. So
Yeah.
that was a live and learn experience. And then the show starts. This place isn't big. It was like a boxing training center, and they had a wrestling ring in there. And it's not that big. And there was like 300 people in this place, and they were elbow to elbow, and they were pretty passionate. And it's one of these like wired microphones at the time. It wasn't. It was attached to like the sound system. So I get in the ring, and I'm like, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Devastation Wrestling Federation." And I'm talking, and the next thing I know, I realize the fans are chanting something, and they started chanting, "Turn your mic on, asshole! Turn it on!" And I forgot to turn the mic on, so I was nervous, man. I was trying not to show it, but I was like, "All right, this is it. I want to do this." And then I just stopped. I laughed. I was like, "Oh!" And I showed everybody the switch. I'm like, "Oh!" I'm like, "Can you hear me now?" I'm like, "Oh wow, this is on now." I was really nervous. This is my debut in pro wrestling, and I am no longer nervous. So I'm gonna give this a shot again. And I worked for that company for a year and a half. I mean, they liked me and accepted me. And once I got past that, I wasn't nervous anymore. I was like, oh man, this. So that's basically I did that, and I know that story was a little long, but I always like enjoy talking about that because you can only learn from your mistakes, and I got a couple of them right out of the way on that debut. But with wrestling, from there, it was just like ping pong, man. It was like this company likes me. There was a promoter in the crowd that night. He was like, "Hey," he's like, "What's your name on Facebook?" To give my name, he hit me up. "Hey, you want to come work for me?" I worked for that company. I ended up doing like 3 or 4 companies in my first like couple months. There was a company that a lot of talent get their feet wet in Pennsylvania called Triple WA. They've been there for like 40 years. Like Dino Santa runs that company. They run out of Quakertown now. But I mean a lot of kids get their feet wet there, and I worked there for like a year. Always good to me. Very professional. There was a McDonald's right across the street from the venue, so right afterwards, go right there and then go home. It was good. Um, it was just, but yeah, it was just like people started getting to notice me. I started working a lot in Pennsylvania my first year in the business. By my second year, I was all over Pennsylvania. I think my second year in the business, I put like 48,000 miles on my car in one year because Pennsylvania is a big state, and I
Oh
was
yeah.
definitely willing. I was definitely willing to do a lot of drives for 20 bucks or less. And most of those places, even if they didn't pay you that well, they always had tons of food. It was like their wives always had like crock pots of food backstage. So I'm like, all right, this is pretty good, and homemade food's pretty good. So I figure I got my exposure. I get paid. No, it was all right. So that's the roots there. I mean, those first 2 years, I think anybody that's in the business, whether you're a referee, you're a wrestler, you're an announcer, cameraman, photographer, I think those first 2 years are important to keep yourself grounded. Um, have high aspirations, but accept the fact that hey, you may not get booked by WWE like right away. You have to
Yeah.
and some dudes do. I mean, that's awesome. But I mean, you have to be willing to at least, have goals that are up here, but also be willing to always stay grounded and down to earth. And always remember, you never know when you're breaking into the business. If you eventually do make it, you're going to bump into these people later on down the road, many years later. They say you make your way up, and then you meet those same people back on the way down, as they say. So you always want to make good relationships, don't burn any bridges, and stay respectful to everyone at any level of the business. And that's what I've tried to hold myself to that high standard over the years.
So you've been doing this, you said, since 2011, correct?
Yeah, man. God, I guess we're going to 13, 12, 13 years. Forever. I'm a grizzled vet. I lost my voice 10 years ago. Yeah, it's been a ride, my friend. Mm.
Do you remember anybody on that first card that like you still see anybody from that first card all the way back to 2011? Do you see any of them now or
Yeah, actually, I've bumped into a bunch of them. There is let's see, there was a bunch of workers down there. There was Mac Daddy Ron Starr. There was Ty Reno, the Diva Beater Sienna Duval. They had this whole stable down there. The guy that went by the name of Blackie. Like I'll bump into these guys. I was working for this Fed Super Crazy Pro Wrestling for a couple years, and I would bump into them down there. And I'm down in South Jersey, and it was a great reunion. I hadn't seen him for a whole bunch of years, and then we all just started bonding. And yeah, I worked a bunch of shows, saw them down there. There was another gentleman that's known throughout South Jersey, Mark Angel. Known him, he's a good dude. Sizzling Stan Styles. Yeah, these guys were all on my debut show, and I work with Stan all the time. I see him all over the place. So yeah, I mean, you lose track of a lot of people over the years, but there's at least a half a dozen people that I still see on the regulars when I'm doing my when I'm getting on my working on the independent rounds.
okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Now you said you did work a lot in Pennsylvania. I would be remiss if we didn't mention WXW. That's I think where I seen you for the first time.
Well, yeah, well, I was trying to set the stage. I went to WXWC4 as a fan. When I was living in Jersey, I would go there. I mean, I was a huge fan of Samu, the Head Shrinkers. And I was like, dude, there's this like literally as a fan before I crossed over the guardrail, I was like, dude, there's this like famous Samoan wrestler that's got like a federation in PA. Let me go check this out and go scout it out as well. Cause I was really only like, I mean, barely breaking into the business. I mean, I probably went to some shows just to scout it out and check it out with under 6 shows under my belt. Knew nothing. They had a great announcer over there, but it was good. I really enjoyed the vibe. Mountainville Memorial Hall in the south side of Allentown. Great building, great
Oh, yeah.
vibe. Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
and the fans were always so passionate. Cool locker room, and then of course there's Samu. Lance is one of my boys, great dude. I'm so happy for all the success he's been having lately. That dude just came back from like a couple month tour of Japan, and he's like ready. He's already talking about ready to go back over there. So definitely great to see when the Samoan dynasty. It never ends with the legacy. I mean, of course, there's Samu and then Rikishi. I just saw Sam and Rikishi at the Legends of Hamburg Fan Fest. I just worked for Samu last week. For it was like the 8th year that they've done the Under My Skin for Life Foundation Arts for Autism, a benefit show. It's like a biker rally raising money for autism awareness in South Jersey at the VFW in Port Monmouth, New Jersey. And it's cool because it's always an excuse for me to get decked out in my best Hog Wild gear. I have a Sturgis Harley shirt. I mean, it's the only biker shirt I have, but I love it. It's like the 75th anniversary of Sturgis. I wore that. I got to just one in Rome. I just did my vibe, and it's such a cool vibe. The weather actually, when they normally do it outside, the weather was bad this year. They put it inside. Dude, we had an Iron Maiden cover band, and when I tell you, this guy was amazing. You know why there's not too many Iron Maiden cover bands? Because that is a hard voice to replicate.
oh yeah.
This guy was amazing. Like they wanted me to announce at the same time he's singing. I was purposely timing it when he was into the high like notes and just tear it up. I was like, we got to time out for a minute. This guy is murdering that microphone. It was so
Hold on, David. I think
entertaining.
I'm losing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Whew.
Take two.
Man,
I think we're good. I don't know what happened. I think my internet might have dropped. We got really bad
you,
weather here, so if I drop out again, it might be my internet.
can you pay the bill already? Damn it! What in the hell? But
I
no,
live in
I'm just
Oklahoma, so
kidding.
I'm paying like $200. They better work.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I was that Samu a benefit show in Port Monmouth at the VFW. That was awesome. We had bikers, this amazing Iron Maiden cover band, and they put the wrestling ring right in the middle of the building. It's the first year I've ever worked it where we did inside, and it was pretty cool. Um, so all eyes were on the wrestling, and everybody kicked butt. It was great to see Sam again. I mean, over the past couple of days, I mean, I've heard Alpha Junior's had some health um, concerns here, and he's been in the hospital with some cardiac issues. So I'm sending well wishes to him and his family. And obviously, I believe there is a GoFundMe to help him out. If anybody can donate any money to help out with his medical expenses, please hook up Alpha Junior, the Samoan family. They're literally my family. My wife wrestled for them, and then I announced for them. I mean, they've treated us like just one of the family. I've been to Samoan barbecues. Love me some Samoan barbecue. So yeah, definitely WXWC4. Not only was that a great experience to get into the Pennsylvania scene, but yeah, I mean, I mean, most people know Samu as famous wrestler, Samu Hall of Famer, one half of the former WF Tag Team Champions. But if you actually know the man himself, family man, just a wonderful person, and just really gives a shit. I mean, it's beyond the wrestling. If you work for him, you're part of the family. And I mean, the guy he literally will do anything for the kids in that promotion there. So yeah, it was definitely great to see him. And I hadn't seen him for a while, and then I got to see him twice in 2 weekends in a row. So it's definitely cool. And he's back in Florida now. He got home safe, and yeah, like I said, anytime I can work for the Samoans is truly a blessed time.
That is very fair. And
Yeah,
to reiterate what you said about the GoFundMe, once this video is over, I'll make sure to link it in the comments for people who are watching this later. And if you're watching this live now and want to find the GoFundMe, make sure you go over to Alpha's. It's under Alpha on Hawaii or under Alpha Junior. The link is there. A couple of the wrestlers from the shows have been sharing it around, so I'm sure you guys have seen it. Make sure you guys go donate. Even if you guys can't donate, if you guys can share, just spread the word. Alpha's a
absolutely.
great dude. He's been great to me. He's been great to my people. So anything we can do to help and give back to him for what he's done for us is always something nice to do. Of
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that.
course. So this is actually a funny story I brought up the other day. I was talking with my cousin. I seen you at WXW for the first time, and this was, oh my god, I don't even know what year that would have been. But I was
Forever,
going through
ever,
some,
forever, ever, forever, ever. It was a long time ago.
fair enough. I was going through my pictures from WrestleMania 35,
Yeah.
and I sat all the way up top, scrolling through the photos, scrolling through the photos, scrolling through the photos. I see somebody who looks awfully familiar. I look at it, and I'm like, "That's David." I was like, "He's about to be on my show."
Yeah, my wife and my brother-in-law, the three of us went to WrestleMania, and we had those nosebleed seats, the
Oh yeah,
behind the stage area, because they don't think that was affordable. And yeah, we enjoyed the hell out of it. Funny story is, I did not anticipate it being that cold. I was freezing. My brother-in-law had my back. He's like, "You want to wear my sweatshirt?" And Deb went to go buy a sweatshirt, and they were like all sold out of them and
yep.
stuff. And I'm like, I'm sitting up in the upper deck, freezing my ass off, and I'm just like literally shivering, going, "I didn't expect it to be so cold for WrestleMania." But
My
yeah, I
cousin's gonna
mean,
watch this, and he's gonna yell
yeah,
at me because the exact same thing happened. We parked. I said, "Oh, it's nice and warm down here." I said, "I don't need my
yeah,
damn coat." Left it in the car. I got up
nope,
there. I'm there for like 20 minutes. I'm like, "Ooh." He's like, "What's your problem?" I'm like, "It's cold." And he goes, "Told you. I told you to bring a sweatshirt."
dude.
I was like, "Jason, bro, I thought it was gonna be warm up here."
So cold. But yeah, I mean that the action was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, that was yeah, I felt like what was it? Triple H and Batista street fight. That was good, but it went pretty long, and I think that match killed the crowd because after that, I remember saying, "We're not leaving," but I was so cold and by the time the women's main event came on, we went down to like the 100 level and we just went into one of the corridors and we just watched it standing up. And as soon as that match was over, as soon as what was it, Becky's hand was raised, dude, we bolted to the parking lot. We got out of there. I'd say it was like 12:30. 12:35, we were at the light. We made a left and we were out of there. People said that it took them 4 or 5 hours to get out of that parking lot, and they missed because I was like, we had work the next day, but we've never ran so hard in our whole lives. We're like, all right, cool. We'll watch all the fireworks from the car. We didn't even we
Yeah,
said, oh, cool, she won, and we were out. So yeah, it was definitely a good event, but I definitely remember it. I think that's probably the event, in my opinion, that triggered them to have a 2 night WrestleMania.
yeah.
It's
Oh
like
yeah, most
it's
definitely.
like, dude, why
Because that
give
went
everybody?
like 7 hours.
It was 7 hours, bro. It's like you can, and now they're doubling their profits because just give us like 2 nights of 3.5 hours, and you're doubling your profits on tickets and buy-ins on the live feed. So it's like
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, that was definitely the night I think that they were like, let's change this. Everybody was so tired, but it was worth it, man. And that's funny that you saw me. Small world.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because like I said, I was going through the pictures and I was like, there's no way. And I'm like this, and I'm like, that really is him. I was like, are you kidding me? He sat a row in front of me at WrestleMania.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is a small world, but yeah, a good time.
So now you touched about Howard Finkel being your favorite, one of your favorites. Is he like
Yeah.
when you talk about like the goat? Is that where he's at? Is he goat status?
Oh, yeah. He's the number one dude. I mean, in my career, like I don't try and mimic anybody. I don't try and copy anybody's style, but I've certainly studied certain announcers and I've been inspired by them. And there's been parts of their persona that I've like studied. I'm like, how can I try and help mold something original based off of this? And yeah, I would say, as far as like top announcers go, it's definitely Howard Finkel. Got to go right to boxing with Michael Buffer. I'm a big,
Oh yeah,
huge fan of his brother or half brother, Mr. Bruce Buffer. But and I do think there's many aspects where I'm like crazy and wild like Bruce, but I want to be distinguished like Michael. I mean, he's gotten the WCW gigs, he's got all the boxing gigs, and I mean, dude, how many Rocky movies does he have movie credits? Acting
yeah.
credits for. So I mean, that's like the dude right there. And he was smart enough to get that catchphrase. Let's get ready to. Oh, can't say it. He will sue me. But that dude got a loan and he put it all on the line to trademark that. And I mean, it $400+ million later that paid off for him. So I mean, I think you can sound good and you can look the part, but when you're making bank like that too, yeah, it can't be ignored. And yeah, so but Howard, I've never met Michael Buffer. I hope to at one of these meet and greets. I know he's come to like big event in
Yep.
Queens and stuff like that. But I did get to meet the late great Howard Finkel on a number of occasions, and the you know the second time the first time I met him, I was in full. I was working a show, but they sent me. It was like 3 months in, and they sent me to a convention to try and interview people. And what I've learned then versus now I'm blessed to be able to work for like American Excellence Wrestling, and they had the Legends of Hamburg event where I was the host and the MC. And I
Mhm.
mean, 90% of the talent there were happy to oblige and give me 60 to 90 seconds of their time with like a promo or interview. But I
Yeah.
remember my origins, and when you're nobody and they don't know who you are, it's not that easy. I think I was able to get one interview, and most of them were polite and said no, thank you, or I'm under contract with WWE, or I can't do it. And Howard did. He was very kind. He was leaving. He was like, I would love to, but I'm under contract with WWE. I have a Legends contract, and I was like, I'm sorry. And then I was like, I wasn't even mad. I was like, that's okay. I go, you're obviously headed to the airport. And I asked him, I was like, I was like, I don't have much time in the business, but can you give me some advice? And he put his bag down. It wasn't like he was holding the bag ready to step out the door. Puts his bag down, and he's like, yeah. He's like, I can see that you look up to me, and I really appreciate that. But remember, don't try and become the next Howard Finkel. Try and become the original you. And what's your name? I was like, David Adams. He goes, that's a good name, nice and neutral. He goes, yeah, try and become the original David Adams. He goes, please watch my stuff. If I inspire you, then I'm doing my job. But he's like, just always be an original you. And I was like, well, thank you for your time. And that was it. I bumped into him about 4 years later. I was working a vendor table for a company I was working for, hyping up our talent signings and the tickets for our show that night. And Howard was the MC of this Legends Fan Fest. And this time it was cool because I went over and said hi to him, and he goes, "Oh, hey, David," just like that. And I'm just like, I'm like, you remember me? He goes, oh, I've been following your work. He's like, everybody I talk to say you're doing a really good job. And then we proceeded to talk for the next 5, 10 minutes as colleagues, as peers. It was cool
Yeah.
because I was like, and it was just that vibe where I don't know if you remember talking to me that first time 4 years ago, but definitely this time we've just engaged in talking about our announcing and different breathing and stuff like that, and how just talking shop. And it was pretty cool. And he was hosting, so obviously let him go after that. And but it really made me think. And he just said, hey, keep up all the great work. I hear nothing but good stuff, and I wish you the best on a long career. So I was like, dude, this is awesome. So I mean, that always, we've obviously lost him since,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I was just, sometimes it's awesome to meet your heroes, and he was just a really nice guy and just really accepting, and didn't have to give me any of his time. And
Yeah.
I've always just stuck by those words. Just keep doing your thing. Don't try and copy anybody else. Be inspired, study, but mold it into your own persona. And I mean, I like to think 12 years later, David Adams here. I've become my own announcer style. And the most important thing for me is I really respect the fact that wrestling fans tell me this a lot now, to the fact where I actually believe it. They're like, we come here, we come here to see and hear you as much as we come to see the talent, because you really make these entrances so good. So I'm like, yo, I have no athletic ability. I have become pretty good at cornhole. Me and my brother-in-law, we literally rocked at the last family function. We were kicking. I think we won like 5 games in a row at cornhole. So I mean, I do have that skill set. I don't know if I'm ready for ESPN 17 with the cornhole championships yet, but that's about as athletic as I am. But when the fans honestly tell me that, I get that at House of Glory a lot with our passionate fans, and I
Yeah.
mean, it means a lot that I'm adding to their experience. And I seem to be getting over because I'm not trying to get myself over. I'm busting my ass to get the talent over properly the way that they deserve. And then I guess by default, it turns out, hey, I'm over without trying to be over. So I'll take it. And if that's, I think that's the most positive way that an announcer can try and be over. You never make it about yourself. It's not about the announcer. It's not about the referees. It's not about the cameraman. It's not about the secondary characters. They're very important, and in many aspects as important as the in-ring talent. But at the end of the day, the fans are coming here to see the in-ring talent. So always remember that, and don't make it about you. And I've literally made that my life's work, is to try and deflect everything off of me just to make it about the talent, because there's so much great talent out there. And I mean, I've been blessed to announce some of the top international standouts, and I've also been blessed to announce some really great blue chip rising stars, and a lot of undiscovered talent that's out there on the independents, just gold waiting to be discovered on the televised ranks, such as like Ring of Honor and AEW and WWE. So I mean, it's been a blessed ride. And I mean, I feel like I'm just getting into my stride now. I'm starting to understand timing for television, premium live events, live streaming, thanks to the likes of Premier Streaming Network, and I've worked for Fight TV a bunch. Really learning the structure of how a televised event works. I think it just prepares you if you ever do get that call up to the major leagues, have you, of the biggest companies out there. So I'm just so happy that the fans have accepted me and my craft, and they understand what I'm trying to do to add to their experience.
But to reiterate what I said, like I said before, you are truly in like my top five. Like when I think about the all-time great ring announcers, you're definitely in my top five. But before I get to the next question, we have a comment here. I believe this is from Twitch. If I can bring it up on screen, there it is. This is from Beast Slayer 7. Hi from Toronto. Hello. Hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. I didn't know we were
That's
going
awesome.
international tonight. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in, Beast Slayer. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments and we'll get to them.
Wait a minute. Wait, time out. I got to change the words. I am internationally known, and I'm known throughout the microphone. Yeah, I'm internationally known. There you go. That's
There
our
you go.
remix. Never let me rap ever again, though. I always try and do it, and 5 seconds later, I instantly regret it. But yeah. So, but yeah, thank you for tuning in from Toronto. Hope everything is going well in Canada, and yeah, I hope you're going to lots of wrestling events, and letting indie wrestling live long up in Canada as well. I could only, I've never worked up there, but there's just endless talent up in Canada waiting to break out as well. So cool.
That actually was my next question, so you just answered it for me. The next question actually was going to be: have you ever worked outside of the states yet?
I have not. It all starts with, I'll be honest with you, David Adams here doesn't even have a passport yet. So I think I should probably get one of those. And it's like me and my wife, we've actually talked about getting them just to go on vacation. But I
Yeah.
mean, I think, yeah, the added perk is if I can get booked internationally, that's cool. But she just gave me a look like vacation first, MFR. But yeah. That's definitely the goal is to at least get a taste of that. Of whether I would love to do like local international, such as Canada or Mexico. I would love it. It would definitely be, I think, a good experience and a good way to dip your toes in the water before you go even further abroad.
Now, do you have talk about Lance being in Japan? Have you ever wanted to go over to Japan and do announcing there, or you want to stick like strictly here for now, and then Japan in the long run?
The the impolite me would have cut you off. I was waiting, but the answer, as quickly as you said it, yes, yes, very much so. Yeah, yeah. I don't even have words for it. Just look at my face. Yeah, that definitely a major goal for me. That would definitely be the icing on it. To have, because there's a lot of the companies, they have their announcer that speaks the local language, and then you have the English speaking announcer because that also corresponds with English commentary. I mean, it's no secret. I would love to have a shot at New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think, honestly, WWE and AEW have amazing announcers. I would love to be there, but the gentlemen that are in those spots right now, they don't deserve to lose their spot. I mean, I'm pretty level-headed about this. These guys are amazing. You get to this level, you're great. You're the best. Justin Roberts, he's the best ring announcer actively right now. I've never met the gentleman. I think we've talked briefly on like Facebook or something like that. But yeah, that's the dude right there. And his syllables, the way he uses his diaphragm and accents, everything, that's the dude. And and there's only so many spots. So you talk about international. I mean, most of these companies have their own built-in announcers. So I mean, me coming in is almost like a guest spot. Like, oh, this guy's trying to take somebody's spot, and I would never want it to be like that.
Yeah.
I would love to accent it in any way possible. I think personal ring announcer like Ricardo Rodriguez, he had the right idea with that. Jesus is an awesome dude. Got to talk with him a little bit at Legends of Hamburg. You definitely have to check out his promotion out in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Um, Definitely a lot of good talent all throughout Pennsylvania there. Like we were talking about 3LW, I believe it is, Three
Yep.
Legacies Wrestling. So yeah, make sure y'all check out Jesus's promotion as well out there. But yeah, gosh, I mean, if the opportunity was there and it's like, I mean, you don't want to step on people's toes, but you also have to have the balls to realize that this is a competitive business. I don't want to be cutthroat. I certainly would like to put my name in the hat to as long as I get to be B Rabbit, I'll freestyle with anybody. We'll go down to the local shelter in Detroit and we'll just battle rap this out and see what happens. I mean, what's the worst I'm gonna do? Get booed? I mean, not the first time, not the last time. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely confident enough to take any opportunity. It's just a matter of I just want to do things the right way. It's a hard thing to say. What is the right way in a business of where there's lots of money to be made, and the more money there is to be made, people get savage and people get territorial, and you can't blame them because people got families and they got food to put on
Yeah.
the table and bills to pay. And I mean, you can't get butthurt if somebody says no to you. Most of my motivation in this business has been from getting rejected and no's. It just made me want to work harder and go to other companies and then maybe eventually, revert back around. And there's been companies that have rejected me, and then 2 years later, hey, you want to come work for us? And it was just like, so I flipped them 360, and I'm not doing it at any land speed records, obviously, but yeah, sometimes it takes a couple years. But I've definitely had companies that have said no, and now I've worked with them on the regular and had a good business relationship, and they like my work and I like my envelope, so it's a win-win.
So you talked about getting different opportunities in the world of wrestling, and you've had the opportunities to announce at one of the most famous arenas, at least on the East Coast, the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. I've
Yeah.
talked to Johnny Rankin about this. I talked.
You're frozen. Can you hear me now? Can
I
you hear me?
think. Yep. We're good.
Oh.
I think we're good.
Uh, if I do this, are you convinced that I'm frozen? I'm. I think we're good, brother.
Yeah, I think it's pouring outside right now. I can
Oh,
hear it
it's all
raining
good.
off the side of my house, so I
Yeah,
might be losing everything here.
yeah, we're good. We're back. But yeah, you started talking about 2300 Arena and also our referee Johnny Rankin. Yeah,
Yep. I talked with him about this. I talked with Christian Rocco about this, and they said it was like a lifelong dream. Now, you got to announce in the same arena that some of the biggest legends of wrestling have walked. Unfortunately, some of them aren't with us no more. What do you think about getting the chance, the opportunity to ring announce inside the legendary 2300 arena?
it's it's almost something that words can't describe. But obviously, you have me on here. Nobody wants to hear me just go for 30 minutes. But yeah, no, it was amazing. I've been very blessed. It seems like the gig is mine right now for Battleground Championship Wrestling. The owner Timothy Embler, started off as a trial thing. Hey, can you come in here? Hey, can you fill in again? And the next thing you know, it's like, hey, are you available for October and December? So it was the first time that I ever got offered two shows at once with lots of advance notice. You know, the other times it was like, hey, with like a week's notice, hey, I'm so sorry for the short notice. Are you available? Yeah, I am. And it was awesome. Yeah, no need to be sorry. That sounds awesome. I want to be here. The talent is amazing that they're allowing me to announce. I got to do an in-ring interview segment at the last show. So it was the Legends of the Spectrum, or something to that effect. They're doing a docu series on legends of who have wrestled in the Philadelphia Spectrum, obviously, building that doesn't have a now defunct building, obviously, but they're back in the day, definitely some of the most legendary wrestling highlights ever to come to Philadelphia at the time, pre 2300 ECW arena, were definitely there. Um, and I think they're having another one of those Legends of the Spectrum segments coming up on October the 28th with Tito Santana. And Tito and I are cool. Got to talk to him and his son at Legends of Hamburg. And if I get to do another question and answer session on live pay-per-view stream with him, that'll be pretty cool. I look forward to that. But yeah, the feeling and Battleground is a great vibe. Tim's a really professional owner, courteous. He has people going. I mean, he makes sure the talent is paid way before the end of the event. Um, Everything's organized. Organization and a friendly atmosphere are key. And this actually isn't the first company. This isn't the first time I've been in 2300. Uh, uh, Three other times. Back in 2018, I got to work for Impact Wrestling for, as they say, a cup of coffee. They needed an announcer, and Tommy Dreamer hooked it up. He got in touch with one of the vendors on the Indies, Eric Sims, and Eric Sims called me at like 11 o'clock at night, which is awkward, but it was good. And he was like, "Hey, you should call Tommy Dreamer. Here's his number." I'm like, he's like, "Why?" He's like, "You should call him." I was like, "Does he know I'm calling him?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm not gonna call him at like 11 o'clock at night." So I texted him. And when I tell you, when I texted this guy, when he called me back like a half a second later, I was like, "Whoa, that was quick." And and I was like, "Hey, this is David Adams," and I like texted it with like the with like the microphone and the big flames. He's like, "I like your emojis." He's like, "What are you doing this weekend?" He's like, "It's Tommy. What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm not sure. He's like, "You're coming and working for Impact at the 2300 Arena." I was like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." And they worked around my work at the time. I was like, "What's call time?" Because it was a Friday and a Saturday gig. And then I actually got to work for them on a Sunday too, because Friday and Saturday was the ECW Arena. Sunday they did a joint show with House of Glory back in at the NYC Arena in Queens. So I got to work with them all three nights. So I guess 3 nights cup of coffee style, and it was a really good learning experience. That's where I first learned that I had no idea how televised wrestling worked. I was like, I've been watching televised wrestling since I was 5 years old, and I did not. I never had the earpieces in. It took a little bit of getting used to. I'm used to the earpieces now, but if you've never
Yeah.
used the earpieces, it throws off your tempo, your vibe. Yeah, I went there and I did the best I could, but was I fully prepared? Hell no. And it threw me for a loop. Did I have perfect performance? No. Um, I I think I did good. Obviously, you need reps, I think, and you need to just be in that world a little longer, which is what I was speaking about earlier. I'm so blessed to be able to work with these streaming networks now, like Premier Streaming and Fight TV, where I can really understand camera positioning, your angles, just timing, not talking over the commentary team that might be doing a build up between matches. All the different things. Like on a regular indie show, I get back in the ring, the following contest scheduled for one fall. Now it's like, hey, don't talk yet. We're gonna have the commentary team, and then we're gonna have a promo package up on the screen. So it's like all these things. I'm like, thank you, finally. Like I love this stuff. Like now I'm
Yeah.
part of the production. Like this is cool. I always have people at ringside. Getting the earpiece in your ear is like that's just life changing. I mean, I just so I can get the direction, and I'm not the last person getting the direction. Or sometimes I'm just guessing because I'm going by the other vibes, and it's just so much easier once you can hear David. Don't say anything. Promo coming up on the screen. I'm like, yeah, but that's especially when you're in front of a live crowd. It's like not that you're nervous, but you're always on guard. You don't want to mess
Yeah.
up. You don't want to be the one that f's up a spot or f's up a story or gives away something that you shouldn't have given up. For the surprise. So but working for Impact, it was a great way to get my feet into that world. Certainly, being in that ECW arena was cool. Yeah, I covered one of my favorite matches to ever announce was night one at the ECW arena for Impact tapings. The main event was one-on-one was Rob Van Dam versus Tommy Dreamer. It was awesome. It was pretty cool. And then they all had a segment the next night where it was like a tag team, and then there was a Sabu run in, and then you can always go with the Sandman run in, which is great because once the music hits and the lights go out and Enter Sandman hits, just the vibe. I mean, I just got to feel like I never went to an original ECW show. I just I just wasn't around the right people, I guess. Plus, when I lived at home, my parents were annoyingly strict. Like I got to go out a little bit, but they wouldn't have let me go to shit like that. They would have been like,
No,
no.
not at all.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just one of those things you can't appreciate till you're a little bit older and have your adult freedom, have you? But yeah, and then 2019, I got to announce for Tommy Dreamer's promotion, House of Hardcore, at the arena, and once again, it was awesome. Treated me like so professional. Yeah, and he entrusted me to go down and give direction to the sound guys while he was upstairs handling some business up in the locker room. So he entrusted me with a lot of sensitive direction and quarterbacking the intermission to make sure that it doesn't run too long. Which is something that's an added thing that I provide these promoters now is I'll set my timer on my phone and I'll make sure I check in with them at the 10-minute mark. Hey, this is where we're at. 15-minute mark. Okay, still going. Because a lot of times it's really easy to get lost in an intermission. And the next thing you know, it's 45 minutes have gone by and you're like, we should probably start the second half. So we're all not leaving here at like 11:30, 11:45, 12 o'clock. So I've prided myself, check around 10, 12 minutes, try and get everybody to the back at 14 minutes. 15 is great, but 15 to 17, get the show going. People want to, if money's flowing and people are selling shit, obviously, go like 20.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely prided myself on wanting to stay in touch with the promoters at intermission and just try and make things smooth because I think it's unfair to the main event guys if a show goes too long and you had say you had 200 people in the crowd, but by the main event you only got like 30 people left because parents with little kids and it's just people got to be good family folks as well. So it's not fair that they're going to bust their butt for the main to not a capacity crowd that they had earlier on in the night. So just the little things like that I like to do the things that most people don't think about. The crowd members aren't thinking about that. And then it just goes with their experience. Just obviously if you can get in and get out, if a show starts at 7 and that show can be done by 9:30, 9:45, and people are already headed to their cars and leaving the parking lot by 10, that's a good night.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of shows run. I don't know if PPW, Pennsylvania Premier Wrestling.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
don't get me wrong, they have a fantastic show every single time they go and put on show on,
Yeah.
but it runs so long. We get out
Because
of there and it's like
They have so much great talent out there. But honestly, if you got to blame somebody, always blame Paul Bowe. Always blame Paul. Love you, Paul. I'm
It's
just totally
so
kidding, by the way.
line. I'm like, dude, I gotta go to work in the
Yeah,
morning. Like,
just just tell Paul, speed it up, Paul. Chop chop.
oh
But
yeah,
yeah,
next time I see
that's
him,
such
and
a
I'm
great
even going to
promotion.
Ken Hoover for it.
Yeah, they have so much great talent that comes out there. It's almost
Oh
like
yeah,
it may run long, but do you really regret it? It's like, oh wow,
oh
I
not
mean,
at
just
all. It's
you
not.
can't go wrong there.
I mean, I regret it if I sleep in and miss my alarm, but other than that, no.
Yeah, it's only work, bro. Priorities, wrestling first.
Yeah, always, always number one.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So,
Make your money.
oh yeah, for real. You got to do promotion. You're doing all kinds of different promotions now. You've done all kinds of promotions in the last 12 years. Have you
Yeah.
had a favorite person to announce at a ring? I know you talked about Rob Van Dam and Tommy Dreamer. Has there been a favorite person or somebody you really want to announce at the ring that you haven't done yet?
Well, Rob Van Dam, a couple times I've gotten to announce him in a match. AJ Styles, super nice guy. I would say, if there was an award for most down to earth, most famous person, AJ Styles. He's so nice. Yeah, got to go out to like a diner with him after a show once. Talked everything but wrestling. Talked video games. Talked life. Talked to it's important to balance your family with this business. His favorite part of his week is dropping his kids off at school. He drives a minivan. Totally just likes being the dad, and just always was advising me and the people I was with to just make sure you balance the family, and the wrestling is very important. And I love when people like that are just so awesome and down to earth and just a good dude.
Yeah.
I did once get to announce Ric Flair to the ring. He obviously wasn't wrestling, but he did a meet and greet, which the line never ended for his meet and greet. Just so good. Basically, they can charge whatever he wants, and people will pay it because it's Ric
Yeah.
Flair. And then and the only thing they asked him is, "Hey, before you leave after the meet and greet, can you just open the show with a 2 minute promo?" So I got to announce that, and his words were, "Geez, man, I got to take you on the road with me." And I thought to myself, man, could you imagine me trying to be on the road with Flair? Night one at a
God.
bar, I would be in my underwear in a dumpster somewhere. I'd be so drunk, I wouldn't be able to hang with this guy. But that was a cool compliment. So he appreciated. That was his way of saying I appreciate the good, really good ring introduction. So it's like when you can get the nod from Babe Ruth type, it's like
Oh yeah.
that's awesome. So, um, but announcing Tommy Dreamer's always been great. I mean, at House of Glory, I mean, they feed me endless talent. I mean, one of the owners there, Amazing Red, one of my favorite wrestlers, even before I got in the business. Such a great innovator. Love the high flying skill set in TNA. That early 2000s Amazing Red stuff for you younger kids. Just go to YouTube and literally search TNA Amazing Red, and you'll get some of these 2001, 2002, 2003. There's just some bangers of matches there. And then I get to work for them. Definitely, and I've worked for them since their inception back in 2012. So definitely been blessed there. Right now, the champion's Matt Cardona. Matt loves to get the fans all fired up and get them all pissed off. But yeah, he's definitely a great name to announce. I got to announce Hiroshi Tanahashi, one of the greatest Japanese legends ever in the history of Japanese wrestling. Record-setting 8-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion, the Ace. So
Always.
that was a surreal experience. During We talked about WrestleMania 35 a while ago. We had when there was that week before WrestleMania, I got to announce it was a culture clash for House of Glory, and the great Muda came, and I got to announce him in a 6-man tag team match. So got to definitely got to announce one of the best there, and great Muda backstage. But if you didn't know who Muda was and you were just hanging out backstage and you walked past him with his mask off, most humble, down to earth dude. Like, once again, to have that level of stardom, and when no cameras are on you and you don't got to prove nothing to nobody, you are just the sweetest, humblest, nicest man. I mean, that was Muda backstage. I mean, such an important lesson for people. That's how, like, if I can ever get, outside of I'm not famous, but local famous. If I could ever get famous, I'm inspired by people like that to always always stay true to yourself. And just it was an awesome experience to announce him, but even more experience just to be around him backstage with his kindness. So that's just a few. I mean, I don't want to name drop it. Like I said, I'm blessed to be able to do all this. I don't want to be the guy that name drops names for an hour, but those are just a few there. And most importantly, it comes down to the promoters trusting me to announce these names as well, because these guys, they want to have a larger than life persona in front of the live crowd, in front of the cameras. And if I'm part of that process, and I don't want to mess up their timing or their look or anything like that. So definitely, just literally, I'm just an average dude that comes from a small town and literally don't come from that anything, and just liked wrestling and had a passion for it. And I mean, now that I look back and I've been entrusted with all this cool stuff, I mean, it's you can see. I mean, I'm trying to grasp at the words. I mean, I'm so thankful, and like I said, I mean, get some. I mean, what does 50 Cent say? Get rich or die trying. Well, get signed or die trying. I mean, that's it. I mean, and if I don't, then it's not for lack of trying. And I got to have a great, I got to have years of exposure. I got to announce some of my childhood legends. I've made some great acquaintances, a couple friends along the way. I think you make a lot more acquaintances and business acquaintances in this business than actual friends. But the respect, I mean, the respect that I get when I go to these shows, people, whether they like me or don't like me personally, they just know if they see me there, they know the entrances are going to be top notch, the timing's going to be solid, and any other small things they need of me to do. Hey, can you go relay a message to this guy? A lot of talent don't have the freedom to walk around a venue during an intermission or like a pre-show, so they entrust me to go walk around and relay messages. I'll be happy to do small stuff like that. I mean, I've rang the bell. I mean, whatever they need of me, everything but the wrestling, basically. And I know my wife's happy when I say that. Everything but the wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame her one bit. I told the Beastmasters I don't think they cared much. Where's my trophy at, by the way? You see what they did to this thing? You had a front row seat for it. This is my trophy that they
Oh my God.
smashed out.
Yeah. They smashed the crap out of that.
There's probably
you,
still
pro-
pieces on the floor there somewhere. I'm still very upset with them for that.
you probably had it coming. Yeah.
I think I had it coming. I said
Yeah.
some things, and but honestly, yeah, like getting a chance to do what I've been able to do as well. It reiterates what you say about getting
Yeah.
opportunities and stuff. Like
Definitely.
if you count Earl Hebner twice, because I had him on twice, you're lucky number seven. You're my lucky number seven guest here, and I do appreciate it. But I've gotten to do interviews with Earl Hebner. I've gotten to do interviews with a couple wrestlers from AXW. And none of it's possible without, like you said, just getting your foot out there and just trying to, make a name for yourself. And I
Yeah.
truly believe that you've done that. I truly believe that you've made a name for yourself. And hopefully, I've said the same thing to Johnny Rankin. I said the same thing to Christian Rocco. Hopefully, one day we see you on that bigger scale because I know you belong there. You
Yeah.
belong on
I'm
that bigger
trying.
scale.
I'm definitely down to swim with the other sharks. It's a competitive market, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And if it's not, I mean, just just gonna keep doing my thing and entertaining, and maybe something else will pop up. Maybe my voice can be used for another market. I mean, I've definitely thought about getting into boxing and MMA possibly as an alternative. So I mean, you have to keep it real too. You can love wrestling and you can love wrestling ring announcing, but you I can just be I can be happy doing what I'm doing, but if I want more and the level that I want isn't available in wrestling, like hey, my voice can be used for other things. So, and still trying to figure out how to break into the voiceover work business. That's even more competitive than pro wrestling. Man, oh man, voiceover work is where it's at. If you can get one of those gigs, heck yeah, you can work in your underwear, brother. Yeah,
So before we wrap it up, do you want to
sure.
tell the people where they can find you over the next course of the next couple of weeks, couple months?
Yeah, let's see it. Well, let's test the old memory out. So I believe the next time I got a couple weeks off right now, which is good. Clean up around the house, get ready for the holidays. Um, I believe there is a busy weekend coming up. What is that date? Oh yeah, Friday the 13th. House of Glory presents Friday the 13th. October the 13th. That's right, Friday the 13th. Uh, that's going to be a great one. Minoru Suzuki's making his House of Glory wrestling debut. He challenges the root of all evil, Charles Mason, for the House of
Ooh.
Glory Wrestling Crown Jewel Championship. Yeah, you can shiver all you want, dude. That dude attacked me at the last show and I survived. So I yeah, I don't have anything bad to say. I don't have anything to say. All I got to say is his announcements, and he allows me to say the F word in his entrance because he weighs in at a F ton of money. So I do enjoy saying the F word on live stream pay per views, premium live events. But yeah, so yeah, don't even cringe. That dude definitely was looking for the general or the commissioner, have you, Jason Solomon, the Solid Monster, and basically Solid Monster. He told him, "Hey, you can't act like this, and if you want some competition, Minoru Suzuki's coming, and that's gonna be his toughest title defense to date. He's had that Crown Jewel Championship for well over 1 year, and doesn't have any signs of looking of relinquishing it anytime soon. Um, Rocky Romero's going to be on that card coming back. Of course, you never know what's going to happen when Always Ready, the indie god Matt Cardona, our House of Glory heavyweight champion, is on the show. Of course, the main event, your ringleader Midas Black and Blazing J Lion are the House of Glory Wrestling Tag Team Champions. Won those titles in a phenomenal main event steel cage match against the Bookers, Amazing Red and BXL, at our biggest show of the year, High Intensity X. Um, Saturday, the 14th, dun dun dun. That's a sequel that nobody talks about. There's a couple shows going on there. The crew at Titan Championship of Wrestling, they're running an event in New Jersey. Also, American Excellence Wrestling, they're running an event at the historic Hamburg Fieldhouse. I know American Excellence Wrestling's having a costume contest. You guys got to check out both those events depending on what's geographically most convenient for you. The Titan Show is in the birthplace of old Blue Eyes himself, Hoboken, New Jersey, birthplace of Frank Sinatra. So they only do Hoboken maybe twice a year. So it's a cool venue. The Elks Lodge there, they're definitely cool, very swanky town, and really nice people there at the Elks. And always the people in Hamburg are always so nice and kind. Um, Also, I won't be at it, but Victory Pro Wrestling, another company I announced for in Bayshore, Long Island, they're running a show on October the 14th. Competitive Marketplace, October the 14th. And man, it's tough. Announcers cannot double shot when all the shows start at the same time. I can double shot if one starts at like 12 or 2 and the other one's at like 7. But man, unfortunately, wrestlers can do it. But I got to be the first one in the ring and the last one in the ring at the end of the night to say goodnight to everyone. So I hope wherever y'all go, make sure you check out those amazing shows. I know the website for American Excellence Wrestling is axw.tix for the tickets and information. And you can always check out titan-championshipwrestling.com for them. House of Glory Wrestling, hogwrestling.net. Also, check out their school. They just recently had an open house. I'm sure signups are still also available. House of Glory, their school is in Jamaica, Queens, the same venue where they run the live events at the NYC Arena. Certainly, if you can break out there, the world's always watching. Gosh, I sent you. This is me doing it without the index cards, bro. You're really testing my brain. You're making me TV ready, brother. I appreciate it. But I mean, those are, oh, and I'm sorry, I can't forget about it. We were just talking about the 2300 Arena um, Battleground Championship Wrestling Saturday night, October the 28th. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a spook fest. It's gonna be a Halloween themed event. It's gonna be Bully Ray versus Enzo. Um, Brian Kendrick, the reigning Battleground Championship Wrestling champion, the Battleground champion, have you? He's defending the title against the Juice, Juventud Guerrero, coming
Wow.
back to the ECW arena. I mean, those are just a couple matches. Oh, and I believe the Beastman versus the Boogeyman.
Oh
Um,
God.
there
Oh
is a
my
fit.
God.
There's a honestly, I have to be realistic here. my wife may never kiss me again after this. There is a 50-50 chance that the boogeyman might try and stuff live worms in my mouth. I mean, I'm going to be ready for that. But even if I'm ready, am I going to be able to get away in time? I mean, if he has a handful of worms, I mean, I I never thought I would. I never thought I would see the day that I would get to announce a boogeyman match. That is one of the greatest gimmicks ever. I know people will say, "Oh, he wasn't the best wrestler in the world." Forget about the wrestling. Think about the sports entertainment value, and
Oh
think
yeah.
about every time the boogeyman came to the ring. I mean, I always thought he would smash the alarm clock over his head, and I thought he was going to gig right there. I was like, "How are you smashing this alarm clock over your head and you're not bleeding?" Because it didn't look like it was like it didn't look like it was like a balsa wood alarm clock. The thing looked like it had a legit amount of weight to it, and he would just go wham, and I'm like, this dude. The whole gimmick just had me. I was just into it. I didn't care if the match was good. I just knew this dude's got a bunch of freaking worms, and somebody's envelope is consisting of them. If you want to get paid, you're eating these effing worms tonight. I mean, whether you like it or not, this shit is happening. So you better just get used to it. So yeah, so
Oh, he did good.
I'm thoroughly involved. I'm thoroughly into that. Also, the King of the Dam 2 match. You got Kevin Thorne and you have the Vampire Warrior Gangrel.
Oh God, let me
Uh,
not know
yeah. And they each have tag team partners. So it's going to be a tag team match. Plus, we have a tournament of sorts, the semifinals on the road to crowning the first ever Battleground Women's Champion. So there's going to be two women's matches that night where the winners of those matches, I'm being told, will advance to their next event after October 28th is December the 16th. And we're gonna have the finals to crown the first ever Battleground Women's Champion. So certainly, if you want to know all the competitors, go to their website. Uh, I believe it's battlegroundcw.com. I believe that's what it is.
that.
You
Sounds about
really,
right. Yeah, I'm almost 100
yeah,
percent
yeah.
certain.
No, Maddie SmackDown's good influence because if you want to make it on TV, brother, they don't have index cards in their hand. You gotta remember it up here. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, dude. But Tim's awesome. Battleground is awesome, and that 2300 arena. Their staff is so kind. Built-in security. They make sure that everybody backstage is safe. Unless you got the proper credentials or they get you get the okay, you ain't getting in those back doors. They keep it safe for all the talent, and they keep it. And the building is just everyone there's having fun, and there's always a great bar up front, and there's always endless meet and greets before the show. What am I saying before the show? There's a whole Icons of Wrestling fan fest before the show. That's what makes Tim so smart. Is he there's you can't have a Battleground Championship Wrestling event without there being an Icons of Wrestling fan fest that day. So he makes the most when he rents
Oh yeah.
out the 2300 arena, he makes sure he gets his money's worth. The fans are getting that meet and greet all day, and then they empty
Oh,
out
I
the
think I'm losing
building.
you again.
Chucky, it's Chucky.
Hold on, Dave. Hold on. Hold on. Uh-oh. Maybe?
We good?
Maybe? I think we're
Whew,
frozen.
whew.
I
This is
think we are frozen. Oh boy.
God damn it, Bobby. What in the hell? Maybe that's the end of the interview.
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's right. We can end it here. But honestly, man, I've had a
Possibly.
great time I've had a great time talking with you. Can you hear me okay now?
Think we might be golden. Hold on. Let me try something. There we go. I think we're good.
Cool.
Are you
Yeah, I
there?
mean,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
I could kind of. I think my internet. I think the storm's getting pretty bad outside.
That's okay. Then I think that's our cue to take it home, as they say in the business. Let's take it home, bro. I'm totally cool with it.
I think so. I definitely think so.
Yeah, no, I've had a really great time talking with you. And If you guys want to look me up on Facebook, it's facebook.com/davidadams.ringannouncer. Twitter, the handle is Voice of the Ring. And I use Instagram. I'm not a big Twitter guy, but if you want to check me out, mostly Facebook and Instagram. Instagram, you can find me at David_Adams_here. So yeah, so just check me out there. I'm always posting stuff, and I'm sure Matty Smackdown will share anything that's on my page for people if they want to find me as well.
Definitely will do. Sorry about the internet cutting out. Like I said, it's storming so bad outside.
No, it's totally cool. It's getting late. I got to get ready for work tomorrow anyway. So no, man, I really had a good time, and thank you for having me on. And let's do it again sometime down the road.
Hopefully with better weather. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, Matty Smackdown, and yeah, stay in touch.
All right, will do. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Wrestling All Day Podcast. Of course, my guest, the one and only David Adams. Thank you so much again for joining us. It's been a fun one.
It's been great. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Yep, you as well.
Thanks, man.
Yep, thank you. Alrighty, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Again, terribly sorry. It's storming really bad and we're losing service. So I appreciate you guys checking it out. So thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace. I'm out of here.